Hello, welcome to my page, Prime Solutions with Chris. So, here on this page, what we do is basically provide you with the resources, verifiable and authentic information you will need to make that this ultimate decision of studying in Canada, immigrating to Canada, and life in Canada generally. We hope that this page can be as resourceful as possible to help you, like I said, make that decision. So, let's write on and see what we have for today. Plagiarism can stop you from getting that admission, from getting that funding, and at the same time, you will be blacklisted by as many universities you apply to as possible, and then potentially ruin your opportunities of coming to Canada for graduate studies. Let's know why now. If you've not subscribed to my page, what are you waiting for? If you have dream of coming to Canada for study, for work, to enjoy your life and have a fulfilling career, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to my page and get the right information you need as they come. Believe me, you'll be missing out if you don't subscribe if you don't subscribe to this page and turn on your notification button, because on this page I'm not just gonna be, like I said, be giving out the right information, but I'll also be in the comment section to answer every question you might have, or you can also email me. I will be there to respond quickly to address any concern you might have. So today, right now, I'm going to just talk about how plagiarism can stop you from getting that admission. Plagiarism is one big academic mistake that you can make and ruin your chances of getting admission, your chances of even getting to that school, even if you choose to apply again and again. Because once plagiarism is identified, I will almost say that that name will be blacklisted. Maybe not forever, but for some years. So what actually is plagiarism? I want to just describe it in the most simple way without really trying to complicate the understanding. Once you have used somebody's work, once you have referred to somebody's work, writing, research, in your own research or your own statement of interest or your own research interest or statement of purpose, and you are not able to acknowledge and give credit to the source, that is purely plagiarism. And I will be honest with you, that is so frowned out in the world, not just in Canada, but around developed countries, I would say in the Western world. So if you clearly want to be sure that you are getting that admission, that plagiarism will not be a problem for you as a potential graduate student, excuse me, to the school you're applying for. Remember this: plagiarism must be avoided at all costs. Even when you have gotten into the school system, if you plagiarize, the consequences is actually even as grievous as it is even before you get admission. So it's at every point in time in your academic career or your academic journey, plagiarism should be avoided at all means. So plagiarism does not mean that you cannot use other people's work, that you cannot refer to other people's work. Is you can. As a matter of fact, that is the idea of having a body of knowledge in the academic community. You have the right to refer to other people's work, maybe to counter their arguments, to counter their values, or to borrow from them to improve your own writing. But remember this: whether you're paraphrasing, whether you're quoting, whether you're interpreting, however you choose to use another person's work, give the credit. And I'm making this video right now because a lot of us might be preparing to send graduate application to Canada that require you to, of course, as part of the requirement that you send statement of purpose, that you send research interest. These are two areas. These two papers are the two commonest places that one is tempted to plagiarize, because you feel you've gotten something quite strong, you've seen a paper that is quite strong that you can lift and put as yours and then submit for graduate application consideration, and you think you've done a good job. Unfortunately, in this part of the world, you can't be that much smart. There are so many softwares, and even across the world, there are so many softwares that will, once your writing or your paper passes through, it dictates exactly if you're plagiarizing and by how much percentage you are plagiarizing. That is really very important that you understand that. So if you think you're going to be smart by saying, oh, they won't find out, you are wasting your time. They're going to find out. I'm going to give you one example here. During my graduate study here, I was writing just one term paper in school. And of course, I refer to the author in my writing, but I forgot to include the year in my term paper. My professor actually called me for a meeting. Just because I couldn't, just imagine that I couldn't just add only the year. I was called for a meeting with her to address that important issue. She understood that my problem, it was just an omission, I would say, and it was just I would say an innocent omission. It wasn't done deliberately. After all, I included the name of the professor as part of my writing, of the author as part of my writing, but just couldn't add the year. We had that meeting. I told her that I'm glad you realized this was just a mistake, and that it wasn't as if I deliberately didn't want to just give the author the credit. Of course, I included the author's name in my work. But do you know, because of that, I didn't have a failing grade in that particular course, but that course would have been what I would have A+. That is talking about maybe from 95, 96, 97, 98. But she decided to give me, I think she gave me a 80. That's still A, don't get me wrong, that's still A. That's 80. But or 79, I can't even remember. I have to go back to my transcript. I don't have my transcript here. I have to really check my transcript to see to remind myself of what she gave me. But in that 79 of course is a B+. But I think it was an 80. But the most important thing is that it was such a big offense that I didn't include that year in my writing that it cost me the grade I should have had. Of course, not a failing grade, but it cost me the actual grade I would have had just because of that mistake. Plagiarism is one area that you can't claim a victim. You can't claim a victim when it comes to plagiarism. Do it right or don't come with excuses. So if you are applying for admission, like I said before, a lot of us might be applying for admission or graduate studies admission to Canada right now. Please remember this. Don't take it for granted that anything you write will sell. Anything you write to convince exam committee, admission committee that you are capable and ready for this admission will not be reviewed. It will pass through a lot of, if you're writing electronically, it will most likely pass through a plagiarism software to determine if you copy it, or even if you did not copy, if you gave credit to the authors you refer to their work in your writing. So don't if we make this mistake of not acknowledging authors in our writing, no matter how fantastic you've done well and convinced the exam admission committee that you should be one of those or the only candidate that should be given admission, you will never get that admission. Never, I mean clearly never get that admission. You are not going to get it, and you will be blacklisted. So even if I apply next year, you won't be accepted. If you're blacklisted for 2 years or 3 years, you are not going to, your admission will not even be considered. That is how much of a big deal plagiarism is in the academic community in Canada, and of course across the world, particularly in institutions in developed countries. So remember, acknowledge authors. Whether in your statement of purpose, sometimes you might want to refer to an author while you're presenting yourself professionally, or in your research interest, where most likely you might most likely use or refer to some authors to buttress the point while you're looking at your research interest from the broader perspective or from the bigger question to the smaller research interest that will eventually guide the admission evaluation committee to decide if you should be a candidate for this particular program. So please, if you don't know how to ensure that you are not plagiarizing, the best you can do is once you are referring to any author in your work, copy that author's name and year of publication quickly and put in your work. And also, once you are, if you ever have access to internet and you want to test if the percentage of plagiarism involved in your work, I think there are so many plagiarism free download as plagiarism software you can download to your phone, download to your laptop to check for plagiarism in your work. I will be honest with you, most of the articles you read or even your own write-up, if you test it for plagiarism, none will be completely 0% free. But if you're testing for plagiarism and it just maybe 1% plagiarism, yeah, that could just be miss in the plagiarism software. But if you are testing for plagiarism and the software begins to identify places you have clearly paraphrased, copied, quoted without making strong reference, then you are in for big trouble if you apply for admission. So you shouldn't just focus on, don't be so overwhelmed or in thinking, oh my God, I hope I'm not gonna be caught up in the plagiarism issue. Focus on reading as a way to avoid plagiarism. Read an article, understand that article very well, and present the thoughts you understood from the article, while of course you're giving credit to the author. It's very important. So this has cost many people the admission. This has cost many people scholarship opportunities in Canada and get them blacklisted in those schools. So do you want to be blacklisted even when you don't get admission, yet you will still be blacklisted because you plagiarized in your application and your application package, particularly in your statement of purpose and your research interest? Do you want to be blacklisted? Do you want to be not offered admission and at the same time blacklisted? Or do you want to be honest enough to present ideas you borrow from people and at least acknowledge them in your writing? If you think if you acknowledge people in your writing, it's going to make your writing lose values, as if you can't think something out of your own. No, that is not how the academic community works. Once virtually every topic you want to research on now, you want to write on now, somebody else might have addressed some issues in that area. So trying to refer to that person and acknowledge them in your writing doesn't mean you don't have your own ideas. It simply means that you are building upon an area that has been that research has been going on for some time, and therefore you need to acknowledge people that has provided even more knowledge in that area to support your own potential investigation at graduate level. So I hope you will put this to practice. Again, don't plagiarize. Nobody claims a victim in plagiarism. Nobody. There's no excuse to plagiarize. You can't even claim the excuse that you forgot. No, you forgot to include the year or the name of the author. There's no excuse. That is why you have to be very mindful of how, particularly when you're applying for graduate studies in Canada, when you are discussing, when you're writing your research interest, you see that one page research interest you're going to write, or that 2-page, or that 1,000 word research interest you're going to write. Be careful while writing that. Don't plagiarize. Read as many articles as possible if you want to, if you have to. Simply acknowledge those ideas that you borrowed from authors while also writing your own paper. It makes you a better writer. It makes you a better potential scholar. It doesn't make you seem like somebody without his own ideas or her own ideas or their own ideas. It strengthens your application even more than you thought that it will weaken your application. Surprisingly, yes, it strengthens your application. So avoid plagiarism to get that admission and funding. Thank you very much, and please do subscribe to my page and hit the notification button, and always come back here for more information on study, work, and life and live in Canada. Take care, guys. Bye.